This could be the beginning of a change that nobody in the Lakers fan base is truly ready for. And honestly, it might only be the first domino to fall in what could become one of the biggest roster shakeups of the entire offseason. What's going on, Lakers Nation? I'm Samir, and if you follow this team as closely as I do, then you already know that when things get quiet around the Lakers, it's usually because something important is happening behind the scenes. And this time, all signs point to the front office preparing to move on from a player who, not long ago, was viewed as one of the franchise's brightest young pieces. Picture the moment. Monday looked like a normal offseason day. The Lakers officially signed Matisse Thybulle, one of the NBA's best perimeter defenders. At first, the reaction was exactly what you'd expect. Fans were excited because the team had just added the kind of defensive specialist they've desperately needed. But while everyone was focused on that signing, something much bigger quietly happened in the background. With Thybulle now on the roster, the Lakers have officially exceeded the NBA's 15-player limit for standard contracts. There are no exceptions. There are no loopholes. Someone has to go.
It's one of those rules that sounds simple on paper, but the consequences can completely reshape a team's future. Then came a statement that immediately caught the attention of everyone following the organization closely. Lakers insider Jovan Buha believes there are only 3 realistic candidates to be moved: Dalton Knecht, Jaden Hardy, or Bronny James. 3 names, 1 roster spot, 1 difficult decision. And the player whose name stands out the most is Dalton Knecht. But here's where the real story begins. We're not talking about a player who entered the league without expectations. Quite the opposite. When the Lakers selected Knecht in the first round, many believed they had found one of the steals of the draft. He arrived with a reputation as a polished scorer, an elite shooter, and someone who could contribute much sooner than most rookies.
During his first season, he showed flashes that justified all that excitement. It felt like only a matter of time before he earned a larger role. But that leap never happened. Instead of growing into a bigger piece of the rotation, his opportunity slowly disappeared. His minutes became harder to find. His confidence seemed to fade. And eventually, his production reflected exactly that. Last season, Knecht averaged just 4.2 points per game while shooting 45.5% from the field and 34.2% from three-point range. Those aren't terrible numbers in isolation, but they don't tell the whole story. Because the biggest concern has never been his offense. It's his defense. Since entering the NBA, Knecht has consistently been viewed as a player who can score but struggles on the defensive end. And as the Lakers have shifted toward building a roster filled with versatile two-way players, that weakness has become increasingly difficult to ignore. The coaching staff wants players they can trust in high-pressure situations, players who can stay on the floor during playoff basketball. And unfortunately for Knecht, he hasn't shown enough to earn that level of trust. Then another development made his situation even more complicated. The Lakers drafted Cameron Carr, a younger wing with a more complete skill set, greater defensive versatility, and exactly the type of profile this front office seems to be prioritizing. That alone pushes Knecht even further down the depth chart. And when you combine fewer opportunities with an overcrowded roster, the picture becomes much clearer. This isn't necessarily about Dalton Knecht failing. It's about the Lakers moving in a different direction. But here's the part that almost nobody is talking about. A trade might actually benefit both sides. For the Lakers, it creates the flexibility they desperately need, while allowing them to continue building a roster focused on winning right now. For Knecht, it could become the fresh start that saves his career, because staying in Los Angeles, buried at the end of the bench, could slow down his development even more. Sometimes young players don't need less talent around them. They simply need more opportunity, more playing time, more trust, more freedom to grow through mistakes. And realistically, that's becoming harder and harder to find with the Lakers. If this trade happens, many fans will simply see another routine roster move. I don't. I think this represents something much bigger. The Lakers are quietly sending a message to the rest of the league. Their priority is no longer patiently developing young prospects. Their priority is winning now. Every roster spot has to contribute immediately. Every rotation player has to help maximize the championship window around LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and the rest of this roster. That's what win now mode looks like. And once a franchise commits to that philosophy, decisions become much colder, much more calculated. It doesn't matter where a player was drafted. It doesn't matter how much potential he still has. If another player gives the coaching staff a better chance to win today, the choice becomes obvious. That's why Dalton Knecht's name carries so much weight. His possible departure isn't just about one player. It symbolizes a shift in organizational thinking. The Lakers appear willing to sacrifice long-term development if it helps them compete for a championship right now. Imagine what that message does inside the locker room. Young players realize that nobody's spot is guaranteed. Veterans understand that the front office is doing everything possible to build a title contender. And around the league, other teams start paying attention. Because if Dalton Knecht becomes available, there will almost certainly be franchises interested in taking a chance on a young scorer who still has room to grow.
Sometimes all a player needs is a different environment, a bigger role, a coaching staff willing to invest in his future. That opportunity may simply no longer exist in Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the Lakers could turn his departure into another important piece of their championship puzzle. Maybe they bring in another defender. Maybe they add more depth. Maybe this is only the first move before something even bigger happens. Because if there's one thing we've learned about this organization, it's that front office decisions rarely happen in isolation. One move often leads to another. And that's exactly why Lakers fans should be paying attention. Is Dalton Knecht simply the first domino, or are we watching the beginning of a much larger transformation that could define the Lakers' entire season? In the NBA, everything can change with one phone call, one trade proposal, one decision behind closed doors, and suddenly the entire outlook of a franchise looks completely different. So now I want to hear from you, Lakers Nation. If you were Rob Pelinka, would you keep Dalton Knecht and continue betting on his potential? Or would you include him in a trade to strengthen this roster for another championship run? Let me know down in the comments, because I genuinely want to hear your opinion. And if you love staying up to date with everything happening around the Lakers, from trade rumors to behind-the-scenes analysis, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because judging by the way this offseason is unfolding, this almost certainly won't be the last major move we see in Los Angeles.